And welcome everybody back to Minor League Esports. It is week number 2. My name is Leagy. Join with me this evening is Squid. And Squid, we've got a lot of really good matchups for tonight.
We certainly do. Of course, it's going to be 3 series of 5. We got some bangers lined up for you. Starting out in the Academy League, we're going to move down to Foundation and end on a high note with the Champ League. And of course, there's another set of broadcasts for tomorrow. Plenty of teams that we're going to see. That schedule. Hopefully, you can get an idea for what we're going to be looking at. But I'll repeat just in case. Bears, Outlaws for our first match. Blizzard and Eclipse to follow up and to round it out. Pirates and Rhinos. An exciting set, but we do have our first match pretty well ready to go here at Sleegy. Outlaws and Bears pretty close in the standings over there in the Red Conference.
Yeah, we're going to go ahead and take a look at those real quick as well, just to get everybody on the same page. It is week 2, but still, there's been so much action that's happened already. You can see them on your screen now for the Academy League. And with this game, you know, Squid, with it still being early in the season, there's still a lot to play for. The Outlaws currently sitting at 5th with 9-6 is their record. So, you know, they have been doing extremely well. The Bears, not too bad, you know, still top 10. So it's a top 10 matchup. But I'm really excited to see what both of these teams bring in the terms of, you know, trying to get off to an even better start to the season 10.
Yeah, and trying to get a spot up there near the top as well. Flames and Elite currently both sitting at 11-4. So a big series win could propel either one of these teams up into one of those upper spots in the standings. So exciting stuff. And that is actually the Orange Conference. I said the Red Conference, but I was lying to you. The only time that'll ever happen. That one was written into the script. Yeah, any from here on out is completely unplanned. But we had the first match already. Once again, series of 5, Outlaws and Bears heading your way. Let's get this one started without any further ado. On the Outlaws side, it's Slappy, or is it it's Slappy or
it's Slappy?
Okay, all right. And Endless versus Glycine Base and Robotic Player. Let's get this one moving.
Yeah, off to a start. Week number 2 of Minor League Esports. And it's immediate pressure coming from this Outlaw side. Wow, that's actually right in front of net. Slappy had an opportunity to try and jump for it, but sort of turned away. He's got another opportunity in front of him now, but that's going to end up being sent wide. The follow-up going to be actually blocked. Endless was coming through, and I think Slappy just got a bit of an accidental touch.
Yeah, a bit of a miscommunication there. Fortunately, was able to turn it back into an opportunity. No shot coming through by Endless. Now Glycine 1v1. Can't make the play happen. Robotic will try to keep it in, but it looks like the offense is slowing down.
Oh, there's another shot coming through there. It's Endless who has to block it away. It's going to be Slappy now taking it back through again. Sitting in the midfield, Glycine going to try and go up for a touch, but he dodges out of the way at the last second. Slappy now gaining possession, gets it around one. He's got Endless on the left side, but Endless is going to stick back a little bit, play it a little bit more cautious. So we have 1 minute gone. Slappy right in front, and Endless just not able to get the final bit of execution at the very end.
Good passing play, and Robotic Player now on the other side. 1v1 gets blocked out by Slappy, and a great back post rotation by Robotic Player on the previous passing play, and a great save there. Glycine barely getting it off the crossbar and away. The follow-up by Robotic Player slows things down, but not for long.
Yeah, the pressure is still beginning to mount in this half. We've seen some really good opportunities opening up on both sides. It's just a matter of which team is going to be able to capitalize first. At this point, getting that opening goal is going to be massive as Slappy, unfortunately, coming just a bit shy of another shooting opportunity there. Endless now pushing this into the back, trying to get it back to Slappy, who just narrowly avoids a demolition. It's going to be him putting it off the backboard again. Endless is there, good 50, still right in front of net, but no one again from the Outlaws able to respond.
They want to respect that backboard clear. Not necessarily a bad idea, but they did lose a lot of pressure, as you mentioned. Now they got to restart basically from scratch here. Good pick up here by Glycine out of the corner. Doesn't get that corner boost, but does grab it up on the side. There might be an offensive play in this yet. Gonna pass it out in front, but it's a little bit too far back, and Robotic's got to retreat to his own half.
Yeah, and it's Endless chasing this down quickly as well. And what we're seeing right now is a lot of space being left between these two teams. It is the Academy League, so there are going to be some mechanical mistakes, but I really think from a mental standpoint, both of these teams need to try and focus more on keeping close to the ball, because all this space is letting possession essentially transfer between both teams a lot, as this ball is actually getting really close to the net there. It forces Slappy to cut his rotation to get back in front, and this could be Endless. He's just got to catch up to it. He bails it. Would have been through. Endless thought it was past the post, and unfortunately gives up on a play that could have put them in the lead.
He's going to try and turn it back in right here, and does get over Robotic. Nice pass back here to Slappy. Pops it up high, gets a second touch as well. Can he get that dunk? Not quite. Robotic keeps it out. And the Outlaws once again turned away from the offense. 1:45 minutes now on the clock. We still haven't seen a goal. We were expecting a close game, but this is a bit unprecedented.
Slappy trying to change it out there. He's got another opportunity out of the corner. Looks to follow it up, but can't find the touch. It's another clear on target from the Bears to send it back downfield. And as much as we haven't seen a goal, it really has felt like the Outlaws, being the team that's been putting more pressure in the opposing half, the Bears have been more reactive so far. But we'll see if they can react to one of these off plays and eventually get a clear downfield, as that one comes close. Endless not able to close down the follow-up.
And great speed there by Robotic as well. Sticking on that back post once again. Being available for the pass. That's not the greatest clear, but Kleisen can't make anything out of it. Now just 1 minute remaining. Outlaws again moving down the sideline to try and put together an offensive play.
That was a good attempt from Endless to try and get a center as well. 45 seconds left in game number 1. Still no goal, but it's going to change now, as Slappy finally going to be able to knock one over the final defender and put the Outlaws up 1-0.
And there had to be a decision made right there for the Bears. You could see Gleitson going up on that corner wall, trying to decide if there was going to be a challenge there or not. Ended up moving out of it, and Robotic couldn't get up in time as a result, so the ball just got a little bit over their head. And now the Bears, who have had relatively little offense, at least in comparison to the Outlaws, are going to have to come back from this 1-0 deficit.
And they're going to have to try and put something together, as Slappy's got another ball right in front. Endless is there. It's going to be 2-0, and after so long of no scores, Outlaws get 2 quick ones.
And I'm not going to take away from the quality of this pass, because it was fantastic, basically perpendicular to the wall, getting that one out towards center, towards Endless. But I feel like there may have been a little bit of a morale hit there for the Bears, because we've seen Robotic as the second man on defense being very quick to making those plays and cutting out in front to make sure those passes don't come together, but we just did not see that time around.
No, we didn't. And now a little bit of a miscommunication, sends it right out in front. Outlaws getting their signals crossed. They just have to hold on for 10 more seconds. Still a chance for the Bears, but that falls apart as the block sends it back into their own half. And Outlaws going to come away with a good win here in game 1. A little bit of a slow start, but we definitely had it pick up near the end.
You're absolutely right there, and I feel like for the Bears, there's definitely signs of life. Don't get me wrong. They had some great defense, I feel. The Outlaws were able to pick up their offense just enough to make it come together there in the end. A couple of team plays, which kind of put that together as a whole and allowed them to push through. But the Bears had a very solid defense, and I honestly feel like the couple of times that they were attacking, they actually had a pretty quality chance at scoring. But the problem is, it was just a couple of times on the attacking half. Not exactly a position you want to be in, and I feel like that might be more of the reason that they lost than anything else.
Yeah, they just really have got to pick up the pace and start moving the ball downfield. The Outlaws had so many chances come their way. I mean, we see them put 8 shots on target. 2 of them do find their way through. The Bears, like you were mentioning, defensively looked good. They had 3 saves, but it felt like that was all they were doing was defensive work. They never really had too many opportunities open up farther down the field. And I think that really just let the momentum build too much for the Outlaws until it finally started to pay off near the latter part of the game.
Yeah, and as I mentioned right there, the second goal at the end, we saw Robotic unable to make it back as the second man, and I feel like it may have been a little bit of morale there. Obviously, these things do happen, and you can't be consistent the whole game through, but I hope the Bears aren't already getting a bit demoralized from just that game 1 loss, because as I mentioned earlier, and as you noted, there's still plenty of potential for them here in this series, and we know that, that they can manage this, but they just weren't able to pull it out in game number 1. It's a different story now. Clean slate in a fresh 5 minutes. Let's find out if they can bring this one back.
Yeah, still lots of Rocket League left to play, so plenty for them to still strive for. Just got to get past that first loss because, you know, someone's got to get it. They win that kickoff to start things off. Let's see if they can get something in front. Robotic winning a good 50, but it falls a bit too close to where Glycin was posted up. It's going to be Robotic now, sending another one towards target. It's going to be a bit high, but now Glycin, again, sending it off the backboard, doesn't get the read, but Slappy actually drops it right down for him. He loses the 50 against Endless, but it's been the Bears so far in the first 30 seconds of this game.
And already something that I've noticed is that we talked about how the Outlaws had plenty of space on the defensive side. That was not the kind of space they were looking for. They did manage to get it away. A follow-up shot here. Robotic taps it in from the left side. Beautifully played here. 72 miles an hour just below the crossbar.
And it's like they were listening to a Squid immediately. Coming out the gate in this game, the Bears have picked up the pace offensively. We've seen them make great pressure, and that beauty of a shot from Robotic is the culmination of it so far. We'll see if the Outlaws have any sort of response. If the Bears win that kickoff again, it's going to be Slappy actually giving away a pass that's on target. If Robotic had just got a hit on Endless, it would have been in, but instead it goes through on the other side.
And now we're starting to see a little bit of a dichotomy here for the Bears, is you want to be aggressive on the offense, and we've already seen the payoff, but now we're seeing the exact opposite, where they were getting a little bit too aggressively minded there, and, well, that's the result. But I mean, we've already seen a bunch of different ways that the Bears have been. In game number 1, they were a bit hesitant to get on the offense. Their first opportunity seemed to be a little bit that way. Their second opportunity, it was the perfect amount of aggression, and then from there on, a little bit too much. So the right mixture is in there somewhere. They just got to find it.
Yeah, it's got to remember to keep the spacing, and, you know, while you want to score goals, it's more important to not have goals scored against you. And Slappy looking to try and add one on here, looking to connect with Endless, but it goes wide. Glycin now looking to pick this up. He's got Slappy to beat, but he doesn't get it through. It's Robotic, last man back right now. Slappy centering, but Endless just not able to get the speed to get there in time. He does have the speed for the follow-up, and that's going to go right through, and Outlaws take the lead.
This is a fantastic punish here by Endless, and I love to see this kind of positioning because he realizes that the ball is going to go to the corner in some meaningful capacity, and I feel like it was the miscommunication. That's the kind of chance he was looking for. He was expecting to try and clear that one back into the zone off the clear from Robotic, but there was just that little bit of uncertainty that the Bears put out on their defense that allowed him to make that shot. Wonderfully played.
And after getting out, oh no.
Oh dear.
After getting out to a quick 1-0 lead, it's been downhill for the Bears after a miscommunication leads to an own goal. That is unfortunate.
Certainly is. And here's the thing, is it would have been a good back pass from Glycin, but it just didn't come out off the wall. And Robotic's not really going to be able to react to that in any way that could get the ball away from the goal line. So unfortunate series of events. Down by 2, but they might actually get one back here. Robotic out the center, and Glycin finishes. The deficit's now back to 1.
Yeah, a lot of goal scoring, very different from the last game. It was a bit of an awkward spot there for Endless to try and find something, and Glycin just cutting it down, getting where he had to be. Nice to see that they didn't let that own goal bother them too much, and I'm sure getting that goal back so quickly will help their mentality because there's still loads of time left in this game.
Yeah, I certainly hope so. And you mentioned loads of time, specifically 3 minutes, which is an eternity to score 1 goal. And they might actually get it back right here. That one drops down in center. Bit of a double commit here on the Outlaws defense. Looking for the pass is Glycin, but it's just a little bit too slow. And intercepted by Endless. And now Slappy in the 1v1, going to try and cut this around. No luck. That one's blasted back to the red side.
It's going to be Endless who picks it up as well. Not able to get it past Robotic. It's going to be Slappy who has to try and clear it away. It's a soft touch. But it's over to Endless, who actually beats Glycin. That'd have been on target, could have been an opportunity, but Robotic able to get around. He loses possession. It's Endless reversing field. Glycin will be there to pick it up. Off the wall, looking for a skill shot. Here's Glycin, but it's pinched back away downfield, and Robotic forced to respond.
And yet the Bears looking a lot stronger, especially in comparison to game number 1. And even the beginning of this game, Slappy almost getting that double tap. It is denied. And Robotic will have it away. But returning to my point, I mean, we've seen a lot more solid gameplay from them overall, and especially on the offensive side. They've been doing a great job of closing the gap. There's another example. Forces that one out to the side over to Robotic, but no boost in the tank, and this could turn dangerous rather soon.
And that it could. Endless going to take a shot. It goes in right underneath the bar. What an excellent half volley from about midfield, and it doubles the Outlaw lead.
And this is not the first time we've seen this passing combo. Slappy got this to put the second goal on the board last game, and now here it is again to give them that 2-goal lead. Rather late in the game now, with 1:50 remaining. Great plays by the Outlaws, and just looking at their scoreboard, Slappy with 3 assists against Endless's 4 goals. That is pretty good team play and participation, if you ask me.
That it is. It's Endless looking to get it away again. This actually could open up for the Bears right now as Robotic getting it back around. That ball lands right at the feet of Slappy, but it's Glycin turning back on it again. Robotic trying to play interference. Endless gets a clear away. Glycin trying to drop it down. No one's challenging the ball on the Outlaws right now. As Robotic's going to look to finish it. Oh, he gets the dunk, but Endless somehow gets in front. It's still right there, and Endless not going to be able to get there a second time after an incredible initial block. Just not able to get the follow through to keep it out.
And Robotic taking Slappy right out of the play, realizing he was the only actionable defender there, and leaves a lot of time for Glycin to get back to that ball. And again, the Bears, their tenacity and clearly the morale has not nearly been dropped as much as I would have expected from game number 1. So good on them. The fortitude holding strong, but they still trail here as we approach the final minute.
Going to be Endless looking to get this in front again. A good block from Glycin prevents that from going all the way through. Final 60 seconds counting down is only a 1-goal gain. Glycin looks to get the dribble past. What a play from him. That could be a Balls Garana play of the week to get the Bears back level.
Great play, getting around the first man and that backwards flick to get around the last one. He has Robotic in support still after those 2 flicks, and the Bears might be able to turn this into a game win if they can continue with the kind of momentum that we've seen from them in the second half of gameplay. Totaling 10 shots between their 2 players and an equivalent amount of goals. This one's off the back wall. Robotic not quite there in time, but still off the kickoff. The Outlaws have got to be scared of that kind of offense.
That they do, as they put a shot on target there. Glycin forced to come away with a save. And Slappy trying to mount pressure. 30 seconds left in this game. As Endless now challenging the ball. It'll fall back down to Glycin. We cross back over into the Outlaws half. It's going to be Glycin trying to get a center. It was right in front. Really fast, though. Robotic was still hanging out about midfield. Bears starting to get some solid pressure in the Outlaw half. Slappy with possession. Now he's going to actually lose it as Glycin takes a bit of a shot on target. Robotic having to get that. It's still in the air. Endless goes up for it, but a follow-up touch from Robotic, able to keep it away. Will we see overtime, or will Slappy get it through? He gets it past 1, but it hits off the bar, and we have overtime.
A great effort, but just not enough to get that one underneath the crossbar. And that was a rather good reset, I think, for the Bears. That was a tense situation any way you slice it, but Slappy just didn't quite have the angle around those 2 defenders at that time. OT in game 2 has got to be pretty stressful now for the Bears. They want to avoid match point on this.
That they do. Pressure already in their own half. Endless not able to find that one. It's going to be almost a big clear from Robotic. Endless is there, and it's going to find its way through. 25 seconds into overtime, and the Outlaws take game 2.
Great quick play here as well. Slappy getting in front of that one, and then Endless able to put it up high to keep it away from Robotic, who is once again there on the defense. And I have to emphasize that he is there basically every time without fail on the defensive side to make the plays that he needs to make, but Endless realizes this and plays it just barely around him. No pun intended, but in all seriousness, I think the Bears played out of their minds, like leagues better than they did in game number 1, but the Outlaws were able to adapt and overcome there by the end of the match.
Yeah, I mean, the Bears, and a tremendous effort from them to come back from behind, get things back level, and push the game into overtime. But in the end, like you were mentioning, just the pure tenacity of the Outlaws to stick to their guns, stay with their game plan. They're able to find space in overtime to put it through. And now they're 1 win away from having the series win. But, you know, I get the feeling that they're hungry to take all 5 in this squid.
Oh, yeah, certainly. I mean, we mentioned those standings before we started this match. They're currently now sitting at 11-6. And I might remind you that the conference leaders are currently 11-4. So this would be an amazing opportunity, a phenomenal opportunity at that, for the Outlaws to push out in front. But again, the Bears not out of this one yet. They still haven't even lost a series. They could still take the majority of game wins right here if they can start a reverse sweep. And they looked so much better in game 2 than they did game 1. Let's find out if they can continue with their upward trend and start the reverse sweep.
Well, it starts with a good pickup there from Robotic in his own half. He doesn't quite get the pick up there again. Double commit from the Outlaws, though. Endless has got to be careful. Glycin trying to cut it down. But Endless was able to realize it in time and get in front. It's going to be Robotic looking for Glycin in the midfield, but Endless again with the cutoff. Slappy trying to find an angle, but Robotic clearing it away. Gonna look to follow this on the right side. Glycin off the corner. Robotic there. He had the angle. He just didn't have the touch. So close.
Definitely good philosophy there for the Bears. And now slapping the 1v1. Can't put that one together. I do have to say, Bears looking solid on that first offensive drive, but almost a little bit too over-aggressive in a couple of categories. I can tell that there is some restraint, though. They're actively thinking about not making the overcommits, and this one is certainly not going to be one. Glycin turns into the first goal in their favor.
Yeah, and, you know, it's a demolition on the way there, but the demolition on the field for the Bears is going to be a lot preferred because they get the demolition in the goal, go up by one off of a competent play, and now a Bears similar to Game 2. They go up early-ish here again in Game 3.
What a fake kickoff strategy here for the Outlaws. Interesting change of pace. But I feel like the one thing I'm looking for now is, do the Outlaws respond with a goal of their own before the Bears can start to get some insurance here? I think that's my most important question. The answer is looking like no, but Slappy can't put that one on target. It gets out beyond Endless, and now they're off to the races. Glycin looking to get this 1v1, can't quite make it, but Robotic for the shot. Slappy can't clear it away. That's 2 up for the Bears.
And what a play here as well to get it all the way downfield. Slappy finds the touch, but it had so much power that it goes into goal anyways. And now, after not really being farther than 1 goal behind all series, Squid, the Outlaws find themselves 2 goals down with about 3.5 minutes remaining in regulation.
And yet, with those 2 games behind them, I would not be surprised to see them start playing a little bit harder instead of trying to play more defensive or even weaker. What we might see with some teams, and this is a perfect example. Endless once again receiving from Slappy. This has been a common theme that we've seen throughout these 3 games now, and this is a perfect execution.
Yeah, Endless was there all day. What a beautiful play. Slappy just prepared for the pass. Endless fully commit, and it pays off with a goal. Gets them back within 1, and now the Bears gonna have to try and look to increase their lead some more. Is that ball actually coming close? Slappy's there! My goodness, he comes through with an outrageous play. Wow!
Can you say play of the week? Ceiling shot here by Slappy, getting that one high up in the air. There is no way on God's green earth that the Bears defense is going to be able to make that save. I'm sorry, they've been doing a phenomenal job this series, but that is just outlandishly hard.
I am shook right now. I saw him go for it. I didn't know if he was going to make it, but the determination in the way that his car looked, he knew he had it. He's got to have been practicing that all week, probably all month. What a goal. Glycin gets another dunk back here. But, you know, for Academy League, this is some high pace or high octane stuff.
Yeah, absolutely unprecedented. But I have to say, following that ceiling shot, I have got to give major props to the Bears for taking that momentum that the Outlaws had immediately after that, no doubt, and turning it into a goal 4 instead. They were not going to be kept down by that, even when they're down 2-0 in this series. They were not going to let that kind of goal have them down. And Robotic will get that one away as well. As we approach the half, the Bears still maintain the lead.
It's going to be Endless clearing it back out again. You know, it feels like this game has been so long because of how much action it's been. We're only just now crossing over into the second half. Slappy going to beat Glycin to it, picks up the boost. He's got the ball in front. He's going to look for another play. He actually finds the touch, but Glycin able to stay in front and keep it out of net for now. As Endless looking to disrupt the momentum of both of these players, trying to just power it downfield.
The Bears are getting trapped in their corner just a little bit here. Shot counts holding relatively even on either side. And again, their defense was a strong point for them in the first game, but I would not want to rely on defense to hold out for the remainder of 2 minutes. Pass out in front here might pose an opportunity, but Glycin is forced to play this back into their own half.
Glycin taking it a bit slow. Endless actually going to put that on target. Robotic has to respond quickly to find that save. Looks to follow it up now, but Slappy finding the block. 90 seconds left here in game 3. And the Bears still in the lead, trying to find their first win of the series. They get a bit tangled up, though. It's Endless picking it up off that mistake, and Robotics somehow finds his way in front of that.
And again, this is the tenacity that the Bears have had on their own half. They are doubtless going to make every effort that they can to get in front of the ball. And again, I don't want to rely on that defense to carry you through 2 minutes worth of gameplay without getting a single goal against, but they're holding strong so far. 1 minute now coming up. And the Outlaws still pushing here. Slappy receiving from Endless, but I suppose that's the fundamental issue with the play. Endless is the one who's always receiving the passes.
Well, they're going to have to try and switch it up enough to find a goal in the final 45 here. That might be one there. It is a missed touch. The Bears extended a bit too far trying to get that out of their own half, and they pay for it.
Well and truly, a great effort by Gleison, no doubt, but you can't ignore that that's just a simple missed touch. But again, I will reiterate, it was Slappy passing up to Endless, and it ended up going in. So I don't think that the Outlaws need to change their game plan. They seem to have clearly defined roles between striker and playmaker. It's working out wonders for them.
Slappy looking for another ceiling shot there, but it comes back under the possession of the Bears. It's Endless sort of giving away possession. I don't think Gleison realized he might not have had ball cam on, but Endless not able to get the follow-up touch either. So it'll be Gleison again, getting a pass in midfield. Robotic realizes he's beat and doesn't even go for it. It's going to challenge here, but Slappy gets it through. Gleison to follow up. It's going to be past Robotic. Man, if he could turned on that a little bit sooner, might have had an opportunity to shoot on target. It's the final 10 seconds. Are we going to have a second overtime in the row, or is one of these teams going to find a 0-second goal? Endless has tried to pick it up, but wasn't able to get through, and so we will have another overtime.
And I feel like I saw a little bit of timidity there from the Bears, at least in their play nearing the end of regulation. So I got to be a little bit scared for them as we head into this second overtime. Of course, the reset does provide them ample opportunity to reset. A nice demo there by Robotic, but nothing comes of it quite yet.
Yeah, Robotic gets a really well-placed demo. Actually had the momentum to turn on that if he had been aware of it. I think he thought his teammate was a bit closer than he was, so a bit of a missed opportunity there. Hopefully it won't come back to bite him as Endless putting pressure on again. Gleison clearing it back over to Slappy. He's going to try and follow it up off the wall. Looked for the touch, but couldn't quite get a hold on it.
Oh, great touch off the back wall as well. Slappy can't follow it up, though. You can see the pressure continuing to mount here for the Outlaws, and they're starting to get a little bit more confident with their mechanical ability, which is resulting in a couple of plays that the Bears don't seem ready to react to.
Well, it's Endless trying to push it through again, but he gets demoed as Gleison clearing the ball away. 1 minute of overtime. That could be the end right there. Bit too far forward Robotic was, and after still so much solid play from the Bears, it's the Outlaws who take game 3 and a series victory here.
And this is the thing that I touched based on in game number 2. You gotta find a happy medium. And as I mentioned, at the end of regulation, the Bears looked like they were playing a little bit too conservative, and they didn't want to risk it. Of course, it did push to OT, so no punishment there. But in that instance, they were just playing that a little bit too aggressive. Robotic was not respecting the opportunity for Slappy to win that 50-50 so hard. And of course, the fact that it went in the net is just, salt on top of the wound. But that's a very, real situation that you have to be prepared for. So by running up that far into the midfield, that's a risk that you took and ended up losing the series. So unfortunate situation there, but Outlaws doing a great job once again, sticking in this regardless of how the Bears come out and, respond time and again. The Outlaws have been able to close out the series now, and they're looking to see if they can make it a 5-0.
Yeah, I mean, they're really pulling every trick out of the book. I mean, that ceiling shot that we saw earlier in the game really shows that the Outlaws do not care. They are giving everything they've got to try and put that ball in the back of the net, and it ends up paying off for them. Like you mentioned, they do get the series victory, but still 2 games remain for the Bears to try and steal away here. It's going to be crucial for them in the standings. And, with so much season left, you got to try and get anything you can, and that's not the way you wanted to start it.
Absolutely not, but I'd rather the 1 goal against me with 4 seconds off the clock than 1 goal against me with 4 seconds to go. So at least there's that, not the way that you want to start off game number 4 after having lost the series, but there are worse situations to be in. And we've seen the Bears come back. Again, you know, I'll talk about their tenacity until I die, but they did a fantastic job in games 2 and 3 of trying to come back, and I feel like they're going to put up another effort here.
Well, it's in their own corner for right now. Gleison picks it up. Ooh, Slappy actually keeps it away from Endless. It's Endless. He's going to try and track it back down, though. He will finally get a wrangle on the ball, but Robotic right there again to block it. It's going to be sent back out in front. Gleison trying to find his way through. Robotic still very far up. He's got to be careful. If that ball gets sent out in the right spot, it could be an easy goal on a counter with them both being that far forward.
We saw some great speed by Endless, trying to remove that striking opportunity from the play onto his own back wall and getting it all the way downfield. Making that cutoff out there in the midfield is very important. The Robotic player will get a win, similar to the one I just discussed, and that one's going to drop down in front, but Gleison, again, has to respect the touch there by Endless. Ends up proving a little bit distracting, and that one will just barely get away. Nice touch. Once again, those cutoffs by Endless coming in clutch for the Outlaws defense.
Yeah, Endless has been all over the place, not only in this game, but in this series as a whole. And it's really shown through. He's a huge reason as to why the Outlaws have their 3 wins so far. And Slappy as well, playing out of his mind. The Outlaws just seem to be clicking on all cylinders. As this is going to fall in front of their net, Slappy able to keep it away again. It's going to be Endless, knocking it back downfield, but no one there to respond. Gleison on this right side in the corner, looks to get it past Slappy. He does. It's Endless, he does as well. Robotic, I think, was playing it a bit conservatively, didn't want to overcommit, which absolutely is the right decision, especially with it only being a 1-goal game right now.
Yeah, it looked like he was a bit low on boost, but no save coming in there by Gleison. That's gotta hurt just a little bit. Again, you know, there's 3 minutes left, but this is the kind of save that you have to make, and I won't disparage Slappy, because that was still a good shot coming off the side wall. It can be a little bit difficult to read that second touch. There should have been ample time for the defender to react in that situation, already having been on the goal line. And this is another thing about the Bears. You know, their positioning was great. The execution just wasn't quite there. And to be honest, you know, looking back throughout the series as a whole, these past 3 games and what we've seen so far of Game 4, I almost feel like maybe the Bears are just having a bit of an off day. Because we've seen a couple of, you know, factors that might lend themselves to the players just, you know, not having it their way.
Yeah, and you know, that definitely happens in Rocket League, where you just have days where things just aren't going the way you want them to. We've seen them, like you said, positioning has been on point. They've been where they need to be. It's just in that final bit where they have to execute on the touch they need for the ball, where they've just been falling short so far. There's still time left in this game 4 to try and find something, but they're at risk of going down 4 games here and potentially getting swept. And, you know, I feel like even though the Outlaws would deserve it if they get it, it would be a bit of a tragedy for the Bears because they've been playing so well, but Slappy putting them even farther away from that now.
Yeah, and a great touch there by Endless, getting it up high and in towards the middle. Nobody again on that goal line makes it very difficult to make that read off the back wall. And a great shot by Slappy into the upper 90. And again, you know, I'm talking about the Bears having a bad day. The opposite could be said for the Outlaws because, especially for Slappy, the shots that he's been putting on target, especially in this game, having scored all 3, and looks like it's going to be 4 here in just a moment, but they've all looked like fantastic, well-placed shots that make use of the defender's positioning and kind of just getting around him a little bit. So the Outlaws, some great plays. But overall, I think what can be said for both these teams that there is some great chemistry. We haven't seen very many double commits at all, and this is still in the Academy League, so that's something where, you know, it's a very real possibility that you can be seeing a lot of double commits a game, but this is, what, week 2, I think? And we're not seeing basically any at all. It's been phenomenal team play for both of these rosters.
Yeah, you can really tell that the Outlaws have been spending a lot of time together, these 2 players, preparing for this match. They're clicking on, they're turning on all the same pages. It feels like they just know intrinsically what the other's going to do. Endless almost finding one there, and it's been a huge benefit for them, though, having that team play on their side, because any gaps that might be coming from any sort of deficiencies in mechanical skill is negated by the fact that they're there to help each other out. And at the end of the day, it is a team sport, and they have been putting those team plays together more often than the Bears have.
Yeah, and I think the number one spot where that stands out is decidedly, for me, on the defense, because we've seen it a couple of times where their speed and aggression has benefited their offensive play, but I really feel like the Bears have had a lot of opportunities, especially in this game and last. Cut off. Oh my god, Endless with the squishy save and the turnaround, the bump coming out from Slappy. My god, I think that is the #1 emphasis I'll have for the team play that the Outlaws have put together. It does get turned into a goal against, but please try to forget that, because that is the epitome of what it means to play doubles as a team.
Someone clip that, because after this, am going to have to go back and take a look. I couldn't believe my eyes for a moment. It's the pure, as much as we're talking about the team play that's coming out of this team, the mechanical skill on an individual level has been absolutely monstrous. The Bears, Gleison comes so close to knocking that one through just off the post. That's going to be a bit demoralizing, as Slappy's just going to be able to pick up an easy goal on the counter.
And again, the communication here, Robotic wanted to wait for that one because, and this kind of goes back, this is all about mind games, because Robotic saw if there was a chance there. But the Outlaws have been cutting off so much on the defense. I'm going to harken back to what I was trying to discuss a couple of minutes ago. But the Outlaws have been so good on cutting off on the defense that Robotic began to respect Slappy's opportunity to cut that off before Robotic got there, and he didn't want to get punished. And the Outlaws used that mind game kind of strategy in order to punish him, because he was explicitly trying not to get punished. This is such a weird dynamic, but the Outlaws are performing so well that I have to say that they're just having an excellent day. I haven't seen these players before, but there is no doubt in my mind that this is going to be a highlight of their MLE season.
And the power ranking committee has got to be watching this sort of play right now. Would not be surprised to see Outlaws making some moves in the Academy League power rankings once this weekend is over. They've got their 4th win of the night, and they've got their eyes set firmly on a 5th. And at this point, I don't know what the Bears are really going to be able to do, because the Outlaws seem to have been adapting to any of the small changes that the Bears have been making and just being able to weather the storm, adapt, and overcome so far.
Yeah, and that's the point I was trying to make there in the end as well. I think you really summed it up quite nicely. The Bears, they pulled out all the stops. They decided, all right, you know what? We're still going to play the way that we want to play. We're going to adapt to the Outlaws, and then we're going to see how that works. But the Outlaws, instead of waiting to see how the Bears adapted during this game, they proactively just looked and analyzed basically as it was happening and saying, I can cut this off, or I can steal this ball from the opposing player, or, X or Y or Z. They basically shut down every single chance that the Bears had. And I think that's the #1 reason why we saw such a large score gap where we haven't seen before, is because the Bears were using a tactic that they hadn't used yet in this series, and the Outlaws were able to counter it with such great effect.
You're absolutely right on the nail. The Outlaws, they were able to counter everything the Bears came up with to great effect. It secures them again that 4th win. And now they've got the possibility of a sweep here in Game 5. Last chance for the Bears to try and take at least one win out of this series. Gleison saving away that initial shot from Endless. It's going to be back on this right side. Slappy going to send it near frame, but Robotic to clear it away. Endless again, pushing it in the corner. Robotic with a good pinch, but it falls back down to Slappy. He's actually going to take it off the wall. He's still got his flip, gets it past one, almost gets the dunk on Gleison, but Gleison able to just find the touch to send it back downfield.
Yeah, beautiful defensive philosophy there for the Bears, and once again, they're trying to reset and use that rock-solid defense that we saw. First man going for the forced challenge, and the second man cleaning up, and Endless can't put that one on target. It's a little bit of an oddity here for the Outlaws. Robotic's going to make as much out of this as possible, and Gleison going to respect the touch from Slappy, but did use the flip. Nice bump, and keeps it in the red side. Wonderful heads-up play there.
It's going to be Gleison challenging Slappy, but Slappy again winning the challenge. It's going to be Robotic. That's a dangerous position for the ball. Endless gets a bit of a missed touch, but Slappy able to track it back down. It's going to be back in midfield. Endless is there, had the opportunity, but just wasn't quite able to get the height necessary to send that ball on target.
The Outlaws noticeably less offensive pressure. Oh my goodness, great touch there, right? Gleison, but Robotic's just not close enough. But going back to what I was just going to say, the Outlaws a bit slow on the uptake for this game, I feel. A great passing play there, but again, Robotic back in position to make that save. And I almost feel like we reverted to game 1 because the Outlaws not nearly as powerful of an offense right out the gate that we saw in game number 4, but the Bears also playing that solid defense that we recall from game number 1 to open up this series. 2 minutes come and gone, no goals scored.
That's true. Bears getting their chances, however. They keep sending a couple of solid opportunities near net, but they just haven't been able to get it all the way through yet. As Endless going to track this down in the midfield. It gets a slight touch off Robotic. Back down in the corner. Glycin going to jump up for it. Slappy's there as well. Slappy will win the 50. As it comes back down, Endless sticking with it, able to get it past Robotic, gets it over top the last defender, and it'll be Endless right into the second half, getting a 1-0 lead for the Outlaws.
Yeah, that was such a favorable challenge for Endless in that situation. You could tell that Glycin wasn't expecting such a quick response or reaction out of Endless immediately following. That's a touch right there. So the Bears now trail by 1. The death timer has started here. Game number 5. And again, I might remind you that the Outlaws looking fantastic in the standings, and it looks like they're going to try and look even more fantastic in this game.
I mean, how many clips are they going to get submitted for play of the week? Endless with a beautiful pickup off the side wall, just bars it down. Absolute domination on the side of the Outlaws so far in this game and this series.
Oh, and oh my goodness, Slappy, a great initial touch there, looking for the double tap. Robotic will have it away. And again, this is the kind of great defensive positioning that we've come to expect out of the Bears. You wouldn't expect an Academy League player to have that kind of confidence, but Robotic knows that Slappy's going to go for that double tap. He's right up there on the wall, ready for it. And this is why I implore everybody watching, please do not consider the Bears a bad team. Even though it looks like they're going to lose this 5th and final game and end up not taking a single one, they are still very fundamentally sound players, and I really feel like this may just be an example of a bad day.
I mean, it may be right, but the Outlaws end up profiting off of that bad day. 95 seconds left in this game. That's all they have to survive. They've built a 2-0 lead for themselves as a cushion. And if they can come away with a 5-game sweep, we're going to see a huge shakeup in the standings. Still early in the season, but the Outlaws appearing to emerge as one of the premier teams in their conference and in the league as a whole, because we've seen one incredible performance come out of them so far tonight.
Certainly have, and again, only 70 seconds between them and a complete 5-0. I'll remind everybody, before this series, they were placed 9-6 in wins versus losses. So, as the standings currently are, until we get updates, they will be what we consider the number 1 team in their conference and in the league as a whole. Again, there are other matches to be played this week, but they are looking very pretty right about now. They're keeping on the offensive end here. Robotic wins that 50-50, has some boost to work with, and hopefully has Glycin out in the center, but that one just does not go high enough. And Endless, a long clear downfield. Slappy puts it nice and high and slips by Glycin, and 3-0 at 30 seconds.
And at this point, that really feels like the nail in the coffin for this game. Slappy getting it another half volley. Those have been so deadly for them this game. Glycin just not able to get the height needed. And it just feels like the Outlaws have too much momentum right now. They've got too much of a lead. And with only 25 seconds, I don't really see a way for the Bears to come back in this series. They really just have to start looking at next week, because that's another off the sidewall from Slappy.
Yeah, and getting the assist as well is Endless, and their MVPRs are looking pretty high as well, so you might see them on the board for player of the week as well. 11 shots compared to the Bears 1, and again, I think this is really comparable to game number 1 of this series. Obviously, the scoreline's a bit farther out there, but it's just been Outlaws all game long. Glycin's going to get a savior medal on that one, but it looks like this game is going to come to a close, and a very favorable goal differential for the Outlaws in this series as well, picking up it was 4 last game for this game, making 8-2 for each of the overtimes, and then 2 more for game number 1. So that's going to be a grand total of 12, I think. 12 goals, 12 added for the goal differential. That's
wow.
pretty good.
That's a lot. And, especially, to get that sort of goal differential earlier in the season, I'm almost certain that goal differential is one of the primary tiebreakers for trying to get into the playoffs. So doing all you can at any point is definitely going to be favorable, and the Outlaws accomplish that here. They get the goals necessary to build that up, but most importantly for them, they get all 5 of those wins added into their column, a full clean sweep. And I'm going to be really, really curious to see how the power ranking committee responds to this, because it's one thing to see the results and try and infer what happened, but it's another to see the result with your own eyes and just see the dominance that the Outlaws had on display tonight.
Yeah, it was absolutely phenomenal. And again, to remind everybody, their record now advances to 14-6, which is incredibly competitive now with this week. All 4 of the top 4 teams that were above the Outlaws would now have to lose either less than 2 or just no games in order to stay ahead of where the Outlaws placed tonight. So phenomenal gameplay. The Bears now moving on to 7-13. But again, I'm going to emphasize how
Yeah.
little I think this record reflects the Bears' talent, because they looked fantastic as a team, as a unit, and I think they have a lot of potential. Unfortunately, obviously, they weren't able to take a win out of this one, but a fantastic match to open up the night. I'm looking forward to our next 2 series.
Yeah, and speaking of the next series, we're going to be downshifting a little bit into the Foundation League to see the Blizzard take on the Eclipse. Hopefully, it continues to have the excitement that we've seen in this series. Maybe we'll see a decisive game 5, but either way, we'll be back in just a few minutes. So don't go anywhere, everybody. We've got more Rocket League action right here on Minor League Esports.